Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. While patch 9.2 is still getting regular weekly updates, Blizzard is yet to give us an official release date. We recently data mined some encrypted items, a brand new mount, pet, as well as other rewards. And many believe that these items are part of the next expansion announcement. And if that's true, then patch 9.2 is almost here. With 9.2, we will be getting the Season 3 of Mythic Plus dungeons, with brand new seasonal affix, brand new rewards, the Tezavesh dungeon split into two, as well as the ability to earn tier sets from M+ content. Recently, I've had so many of you guys asking me which classes are looking better and improved over on the testing realms, specifically for the content of Mythic Plus. Nobody has the crystal ball to know what is going to be meta in 9.2, so this isn't a video to tell you what you should play. In fact, you should honestly play whatever's more fun and whatever you like. However, there are specs that have seen huge Mythic Plus improvements for patch 9.2. Right before we get into the specs though, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you are reminded, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell, especially if you're watching these videos anyway, and if you want to catch more 9.2 regular updates and future WoW expansion announcements. In no specific order, we'll break up this video by roles, starting off with the DPS since that's what most of you play. While Rogue is a fantastic class for M+ content, the spec of Assassination can feel a little left out. You might even feel pressured to play Outlaw or Subtlety because those two specs' AoE damage is far beyond Assassination. In 9.2, Assass tier set is looking to focus even more on single target and the single target pressure of your Vendetta cooldown, but also your 2-piece gives you some opportunity for AoE bleed and poison gameplay. Since 9.15, the spec is no longer hard capped on AoE, letting you Phantom Knights and spread Crimson Tempest on everybody. Together with the tier set, it looks like your AoE damage is going to see improvement. Feral Druid is another spec that lacks AoE heavily, so their tier set bonus lets him use Berserk and put a big bleed on every enemy around them. While there are still some bugs to solve, the bleed is supposed to function with all the different bleed modifiers, including your Mastery and Covenant abilities. And the 2-piece gives you cooldown reduction on the Berserk. From the early testing, players have been able to lower down the cooldown of Berserk for AoE fights down to 1 minute and 40 seconds. So with an aggressive playstyle of constantly spending combo points, you could have a lot more uses of Berserk, which would supplement to the lacking AoE damage that Feral can bring in Mythic Pluses. Retribution Paladin is another spec that's looking to see some improvements. And the biggest problem with Palas isn't that they are bad at AoE damage or single target damage, they're just kind of bad at doing damage outside of wings. Their tier set is yet to be improved and bug fixed, but when it does, if it improves their sustained damage with the right tuning, it could help them out tremendously. But until then, we just have to play into our strengths. Combining the Necrolord legendary that's garnered some popularity, as well as the Divine Storm legendary, together with talents to enhance the holy damage output, like Final Reckoning, would create some unimaginable AoE damage. You will still have to play around wings, but if the tank can play around your cooldowns, your pulls and Mythic Pluses would be so much easier with the damage you can do. Warlocks have recently seen improvements in their tier sets. Some of the stronger legendaries for Warlocks for Mythic Pluses are the Covenant legendaries of the Night Fae and the Vent tier. And with the patch 9.2 giving us two legendaries, one Covenant Lego, one Lego of your choice, since Warlock's best Lego is already the Covenant Lego, they are looking to get the biggest potential gains for patch 9.2. They certainly have potential, but a lot of the viability will depend on the tuning in the next few weeks. The early version for survival for testing grounds has actually been pretty good and has been received very positively by the community, and is becoming a lot more common, at least on the testing grounds, to see a survival hunter in your mythic dungeons. Their tier set is amazing and plays into the grenade heavy gameplay, which is basically the bread and butter of their AoE output. And with a Covenant bonus legendary, they have a lot of good options on the table. But I am hoping that the Necrolord Covenant will end up being the stronger choice. One, because it plays into the whole explosive gameplay, and two, I've been told that the explosive shots left by Death Chakram apparently scale with your Mastery, which buffs the damage of all focus spending abilities, which could have some hidden potential. After a little bit of tuning and balancing, the Shadow Priest tier set is actually looking quite good. In its current form, it offers you a significant damage output in single target and AoE. So as long as the tuning is good, the specs should get better. Combined with double Legos and the fact that the Necrolord Lego is your best slot Lego, you get an extra additional bonus legendary to bolster your playstyle. Maybe play like a big pet shadow build, which can be done with a Mindbender legendary. The Death Knight 4-piece tier set is looking to add free procs of Glacial Advance whenever you consume a Killing Machine proc. This means more free cleave damage, as well as Glacial Advance passively applying the debuff of Razor Eyes to your target, which means you could swap out one of your weapons and chance from Razor Eyes to something like Hysteria, which gives you even more runic power to store, as well as random procs for even more rune power generation. If you're a big fan of the Frost DK Breath of Zaragoza build, the Rune of Hysteria would give you even more runic power to channel your breath for longer. This means even better shattering damage frontal for the Death Knight. A couple of weeks ago, Enhancement Shamans saw a pretty big improvement to their AoE output, gaining the ability for Lava Lash to spread active flame shocks to nearby enemies. By itself, this is gonna mean more AoE and cleave damage for Enhancement Shaman, but also opens up more opportunity for certain talents and legendaries to play a bigger part in this AoE damage spread. If you run the Venthyr Covenant, you get the Venthyr Legendary. Chain Harvest will make sure to spread dots on enemies for you, and it will have cooldown reduction elements whenever Flame Shock dots crit. Altogether, this is a huge AoE gameplay improvement for Enhancement, which is something it has been severely lacking for a while. Then we have the tanking specs, and many of them are seeing some pretty big improvements in the next build. Protection Paladin tier set is looking to make him a little bit less squishy by giving him extra physical damage durability, so they're not so much of a glass cannon. The double legendary combo as a Kyrian Paladin is huge, since the Kyrian legendary functions as survivability, damage, utility through silence, as well as extra resources which can be used for self-healing, healing your party, or more damage output. The Brewmaster tier set, while heavily plays into the Keg Smash playstyle, which might limit your options going forward, does provide you significant survivability by 1. Increasing your health, which lets you deal with magic damage better, healing, which lets you heal the magic damage taken, damage, which is self-explanatory, as well as the ability to gain aggro very quickly, as no tank wants to have to wrestle for aggro with the DPS of their party. In a future build, the Blood DK tier set will allow you to get counter attacks of hard strikes through all damage, not just through physical, which will improve the strength stacking element of your tier set bonus, which will give you even more damage output than before. And the current build on 9.2 for Blood DK gives them so much cooldown reduction on their dancing rune weapon that basically become immune to physical damage. Protection Warrior tier set recently got adjusted and improved. So far, the community sentiment has been positive. The tier set does a lot, granting more damage and defense while in avatar form. Spending Rage lets you empower your next Thunderclap or Shield Slam to give you a free Ignore Pain while also generating a ton of resources. The tier set offers a mix of aggressive and defensive gameplay all in one, and the Rage generation makes the Necrolord Covenant a lot more viable of an option, which provides your party a group buff of 400 extra mastery, with some potential for the warrior to juggle your rage well enough to maintain the banner buff for yourself almost permanently. Vengeance Demon Hunter tier set was greatly improved as of recently, with the tier set allowing for cooldown reduction on both your Immolation Aura as well as the Fell Devastation abilities. Both of them are crucial in outputting more damage, but Fell Devastation is even more interesting because it can be used with a demonic playstyle as part of your defensive output, which gives more player agency to Vengeance DHs on how to use Fell Dev, whether it is for damage or defense. And in patch 9.2, the Kyrian Legendary is still one of your strongest legendaries, though together with the defensive legendary of choice, it gives you a nice mix of damage output as well as survivability, which will improve on the viability of Demon Hunters going forward in 9.2. When it comes to healer roles, we'll start off with the Restoration Shaman. Their tier set has started rocky at the very beginning of Shadowlands BTR testing, but Blizzard has improved it to give them more cooldown reduction on totems. Currently, this tier set works for every totem in the game, even the Shaman Kyrian Vesper totem, which just so happens to be their best covenant. Together with the Kyrian Legendary, it makes Vesper totem quite a massive contribution to their group damage output. And with patch 9.2, we'll be able to run 2 Legos, so since Kyrian is their best choice, they'll probably run the Rock Boy Lego for even greater damage output in Mythic Pluses. The next healer seeing the biggest improvement is Holy Paladin. Their tier set gives them cooldown reduction on Wings. While Wings is usually used to heal your party, since it increases your healing output, it also increases your damage done. and for a lot of the vent tier paladins, it's a huge DPS increase that's very difficult to pass up. Speaking of covenants, you might actually have some openings of the different covenants that paladins may be able to play in the future. Like Necrolord Covenant Legendary actually plays super well into their tier set to give them even more cooldown reduction on wings. Then of course there's Vent tier, which will give you a little bit more flexibility of when you get to use Ashen in Mythic Plus scenarios. Now you might have noticed for this portion of the video, I named two of the most popular healers for the classes that are seeing the most improvement for this section. Whereas with the other sections, I tried to name the specs that are less represented and showcasing some of the improvements that they're seeing individually. However, Mystery War Monk, Holy Priest, Disc Priest, and Restoration Druid just haven't seen enough changes so far. Resto Druid tier set did see adjustments to make him easier when it comes to healing, but it doesn't contribute towards any damage output for Mythic Pluses, which many of the community have been requesting. And for the Priest and Monk, their tier sets and even legendaries haven't really been addressed yet. There is some improvements that both of those classes can see with double legendary functionality in 9.2, but trying to compare these classes in their current state to like Holy Paladin and Restoration Shaman is very difficult. So I think it's best for us to wait and see what Blizzard does, and hopefully take a look at those two classes in the future updates for tier sets in patch 9.2. But thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this update? And what classes and specs should I have named that have actually seen some improvements recently that should definitely be on this list? Let me know all that in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative or entertaining, give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. In the description, there's a YouTube channel, Discord. You guys are more than welcome to join Discord, more than welcome to join our community. Best place to reach me directly if you so wish. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.